In this episode, I'll talk with Suzanne Washington, the CEO of Meals on Wheels People, which serves counties in 2 states, Oregon and Washington. We'll be talking about the need to be flexible, understanding the needs of the community you serve, and running a restaurant. All that and more with me, your host, Dave Colling, on this episode of Behind the Meal. Hello, and welcome to Behind the Meal. Join me as we delve into the stories behind Meals on Wheels, meeting the incredible people who make it all happen. Today we have an incredible guest. Suzanne Washington is the CEO of Meals on Wheels People, which serves counties in both the states of Oregon and Washington, with decades of nonprofit experience, including 25 years at Impact Northwest. She also served on the Meals on Wheels America board and the Oregon Hunger Task Force. It's really great to have you on the show and a chance to talk to you, and welcome to Behind the Meal.
Thank you, Dave. It's good to be here. I'm always looking forward to chatting with somebody about what we do.
Well, great. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Just a little bit, tell us just a little bit about the program, who you're serving, the area you're serving, kind of the community. What's it look like?
Well, Meals on Wheels People is a private nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So we are able to serve a little differently than some that are maybe a county-led effort. So we raise a lot of money to serve more than what we call more than just a meal. We provided last year more than 1.5 million meals to both older people as well as folks with disabilities, chronic illness, and we have a big Meals for Kids program. And we provide that in the Portland metro area of Oregon, as well as Southwest Washington, being the state of Washington. Mm-hmm. So we've been in business since about 1969, 1970, and have, really progressed from there as to serving the entire metro area plus the piece of Washington that we just spoke about.
Sure. What brought you to the program itself? What brought you to Meals on Wheels People?
Well, I've been in social services forever. I've been at one organization, Impact Northwest, for like 20, 25 years. And we served older folks with all sorts of services, transportation, case management, counseling, everything. And we partnered with Meals on Wheels. Mm-hmm. We also served early childhood and homeless families and youth in after school programs, mentoring, all sorts. We did everything, right? For people with low incomes. And it was just, I'd been there so long, it was like, well, if I'm going to keep working, which I have to for another 10, 15 years, it's probably time to look at doing something different. And it just so happened that the position at Meals on Wheels People, the executive director was retiring. Mm-hmm. So I looked at it like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to really focus in more and not do so many different things and really have the opportunity to say, hey, here's our emphasis is food and older people and reducing isolation and put my efforts there. So in November 1st of November, I'll be here 11 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. It seems like everybody I talk to has either been there like 2 years or, 11, 12, 13 years.
It went by really fast. I think I came over like I was close to 55. And I really thought, really just, you need something new and really targeted. So it has gone by really fast, and it's kind of shocking that it will be 11 years.
I'm looking at the work you're doing and some of the things I've seen online and talking to folks. It seems like, one of the reasons it may have seemed like it's going by so fast is a lot of transformations have been going on since you've been there. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of those earlier days and what that was like? And when you came on, what was this vision that you had, or did you have this vision at the time for all these, the innovations that you brought with you later on and things like that?
I think it developed after the first few years. It was more brought into the organization kept losing money. And we're not breaking even at the end of the budget year. And so it was really came in, how can we become more efficient, right size the organization, put more money into the people we serve and the food. So I early on, it was really about getting right size. So we were like in 36 different sites where we were providing congregate dining or hubs for deliveries, and it was just way too many. So that was the first thing, is really getting, okay, if we are 6 blocks away, we have a dining center from another dining center, and we're paying somebody else's rent and utilities. We had to get that figured out. So that was the first step in really making sure that we could meet budget and
that helps.
Right
that
size
helps
that budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first. And then some of the innovation came along after we got that done. It was like, well, how can we serve people better? How can we get them better food? How can we meet their needs for reducing isolation? How can we give them more choice? So that's when more innovation started.
And would you say there's anything kind of in your background that helped, when you were, like you said, with Impact Northwest for a long time, those experiences there that kind of were able to transfer over to where you were at now to oversee some of those things?
I would say probably, we ran so many different programs and had 100 different contracts.
Right.
So I think it was more learned that, and we had to meet budget. There's no way I'm overspending. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think it was learned about, one, it's just my personality. I'm not borrowing money, and I got to come in at budget. So it was really trying to figure out how to get the best service and provide the most support for employees, because the better they're supported, the better service they give. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about others, but growing up in or working in social services, so many times organizations provide service on the backs of their staff, where they're paid little and supported less. I really never felt that was right. So it was really making sure that we could come in at budget, but we had to be really efficient and not wasteful about how we were able to provide that service and support our staff to do the best service possible. And I think just running so many different programs and figuring out that through the years, along with my personality about, not spending money.
Not spending money you don't have.
Exactly. Yeah. So it made sense.
That's great. And we obviously you've been there a while. You have a passion for this type of work. What would you say? What are some of the more rewarding aspects of the job that kind of fuel your passion for that day-to-day piece that made you want to stay?
Well, one is I have a great board of directors that allows us to innovate. So when I came to them before the pandemic, I don't remember when it was, I think it was 2017, 18, where we wanted to open a restaurant and really just try something new. We wanted to run our own restaurant. Older folks that were participating in Meals on Wheels, they get to come in and eat and order off a menu and be served like anybody else. It'd be sort of a neighborhood place. So they had choice about what to eat and who to eat with and what time of day. They can come in at, 8 a.m. Doesn't have to be lunch. The board was great and said, yeah, financially, I did my job and made sure we were not losing money and we were raising enough money so we could take a risk and say, let's do this restaurant thing. And so those are the kind of things to me that are rewarding. Like if you need little things as well, that was a big thing, right?
Sure.
And it's rewarding to see that people love it. The community loves it, that are helping subsidize then the donation-based meals for the older folks. But I think what's also rewarding are just the little things along the way that I'm sort of a get it done kind of person. And it's like if somebody says, hey, why are you doing it that way? And here's a better way to do it. And we can investigate and get it done. And it makes sense. And we serve better and staff are supported better, then we're going to do it. And to me, that's rewarding.
Kind of fit it into, take somebody else's work and then fit it into what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to reinvent everything. We can, we're just flexible enough. And I think that's it. We are flexible. We have great staff who understand that change is hard, but they're willing to do it for the better of the whole, right? So if we can serve people better by, delivering less often with more meals less often, then they're all about it. So as long as it benefits those we serve and makes sense to, the financial sense and the staff sense, then we're super flexible. And I've got the staff who are willing to make those changes, and they love it.
Oh, I'm sure anything to really kind of break up the I don't want to say monotony of a Meals on Wheels program, but it can get you're doing the same thing every morning, every day, packing a meal, getting it out, order meals, pack them up, get them out. So
yeah, and I've never been good with doing the same thing every day. I started out as a teacher.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to go to the same place every day at the same time doing the same thing. Might see lots of different kids, which I love kids, but it's doing the same thing every day. And I was like, I don't want to do that.
No. Well, I think I'm sure you found a good spot then. I'm very similar when it comes to that. It's good to break up things and kind of think about where am I going to be a week from now, a year from now. And which brings me, to doing this and helping, talking to folks, seeing what we can learn from each other.
Yeah. It's always better to learn from each other, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's never boring.
No, you don't, like I said, not reinventing the wheel. It's, there's a lot of programs out there doing a lot of great things. And, I always tell folks here, because here at Metro Meals on Wheels, we work with a lot of different programs in our area. But if you have an issue that you're looking at, just let us know. Somebody else has probably already dealt with it. It's nothing new. So,
yeah, I think that's what's helpful about Meals on Wheels America, just that they have all the members and provide that resource as to somebody else is probably already doing it. So let's check in about it. So,
well, you mentioned the restaurant, and that's the diner.
The Diner Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yep.
Okay. What brought that idea? I mean, where did that come from?
I think we were several staff and we were just chatting about kind of service, all the sites we had, and they're also institutional, right? And as less people wanted to eat in and one, admit they're a senior, and eat in sort of that institutional setting, the people we were serving were saying, why can't we have something different? And as we talked about it, it's like, yeah, why can't we create sort of a neighborhood site where they get to know their neighbors, they come in, it's kind of a community neighborhood environment. So we reduce isolation, more incentive to get them out of their homes. And we just said, hey, why can't we run a restaurant? At the same time, we're all raising, millions of dollars every year. So if we can help the paying customers, get them in the door, and they help subsidize for the non-paying.
That's what I was going to ask you. How, so it's like a regular restaurant then in some ways. You folks are coming in off the street and ordering lunch and dinner and.
Yeah. Okay. We don't do dinner. So we just we're open at 8 a.m. and we close at 3 p.m. And any point, and it's 5 days a week. So we're closed Monday and Tuesday. Any of those days, people that are participants of the Meals on Wheels program can come in and eat and donate for their meal, just like they would, they're asked to donate for home delivery or in a congregate setting. And then the just regular customers, they can come anytime, just order off the menu. It's the same. What we don't do is there's no tips. So instead of tips, we pay our restaurant staff the same as any other staff in our organization. So they get livable wage, full benefits, health benefits, vacation, all of that. And we don't do tips. We do donations instead. And then they get a % of those donations. So the paying customers are helping, and those donations are helping reduce the subsidy of all our other programs that are in those senior centers or parks and rec buildings, because we have about 19 different sites. The subsidy that we're doing for the restaurant is actually less than if we were at the parks and rec site down the road.
Okay.
And so it worked out really well. I think the hardest part about it was not getting the general community or the older folks there to eat. It was figuring out the wait staff who have been wait staff for a long time. They're used to that cash in their pockets at the end of the day from tips. But they still had to go back, and they didn't get paid for vacations, and they had to pay for their own health care and all those things. I think that was the biggest part, is find the right staff that understood. In the end, they're a lot better off because they get paid vacations. They always know they have 2 days off, and they get their full health care coverage. So that was the biggest struggle, I think, we thought it would be easier to convince staff that they'd want to work there because of those benefits over just a regular restaurant.
Right. But it was different.
It was different. Yeah. Cash in the pocket, I've learned, for people who have been a wait staff for years and years, they like that cash in the pocket, and they don't get that here.
No. Well, I assume it took some getting used to, but after some time, and after they use the healthcare, maybe.
Yeah, or they have a issue, and then they left, and then they have a health issue, and then they come back, realize.
Well, yeah. It's
been great for participants, though, because they meet new people. We have 3 different gentlemen that eat in the restaurant all the time. They actually made friends, and now they carpool to the site. So they, when before they had no friends left. Sure. So it's really been great to reduce isolation and get them part of the community and thriving in that way beyond just the food.
Right. Is this attached to, I'm assuming, do you have a central kitchen that you're making all your food at? Is this attached to that same building, or?
No, we have a central kitchen for where we cook every day, and then flash freeze and package meals. So all of our meals are frozen now. The restaurant is different. They cook, it's just like any other restaurant. So there's a menu. We have line cooks, and the order comes in, and they cook it and take it out, just like any other restaurant. So it's not coming from our central kitchen. So
it's like watching The Bear, but with Meals on Wheels.
I haven't seen The Bear.
I haven't watched it front and back, but I've seen enough of it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch at least one episode so I understand what people are talking about.
Hopefully they're not yelling and swearing as much in your kitchen as they do on the show.
I would hope not. Good Lord.
Well, what are some of the other things beyond the meal that you're kind of looking at, that you are doing right now? Like maybe not as big or as impactful as the diner, maybe they are, besides just that delivery.
Yeah. Well, we've got multiple things. I think most people in the pandemic realized we had to do more to reduce isolation. So one of ours that we've been doing, friendly chats and wellness checks. I mean, I think everybody sort of does them at this point, but we'll do over 25,000 friendly chats this year, where we have volunteers who call participants just to chat, connect with them, make sure they have somebody to talk to. They also do wellness checks and kind of disaster checks if there's a heat wave or a cooling, it's a freak ice storm or whatever. So that's one I think most of us are doing, and it's what we've kind of added to it is that we have the license to do Senior Planet, which is computer training and technology support through that AARP funded sponsored curriculum. So we get all that curriculum and can train in multiple languages. So, but the bigger and so people come in and can take those classes and learn how to use a device, get support around a device so they can stay connected. But the thing I think is really exciting that we started this last year and piloting was actually going into the homebound folks and giving them technology support in their home. So training and then support, like they can't talk anymore to their family. We had a gal who was in her 80s and she used Skype to talk to her family in Croatia.
Wow.
Or Slovakia. And, Skype turned off their platform overnight, just said one day it's gone. And so she was cut off from her family and couldn't talk to anybody anymore. So we are volunteers who's trained, went into her home, helped her get set up on a new platform so she could reconnect to her family, and which is huge for those that are homebound. So we now have We surveyed those bunch of people we serve. We have over 600 people signed up to get in-home technology support and help.
Wow.
So we're training volunteers to be able to go in and do that. And I think that'll really help reduce isolation if we can help older folks keep up with technology and then get the support. So when they forget how to turn the sound back on,
Yes.
There's somebody there to help them.
I need that help sometimes myself. So
I know my mom's 95 and she called me and how do I get my sound back on? I'm like, just push the button. She couldn't do it. We had to get in the same room. I think the other one we're doing is the Diners Club, which is really cool because we serve a lot of, in the areas we serve, there's very rural parts of the counties.
Mm-hmm.
So in those rural parts, they're not going to drive in to go to a site that's 20 miles out of their way for a lunch or a meal. So we have been partnering. We have about 10 restaurants right now we partner with, where the older folks can go eat at that restaurant. We pay the restaurant directly, so they don't have to do any of that. And it really is allowing us to help get people in the rural areas fed as well as the ethnic needs met.
Oh, sure.
We've got restaurants in Washington County, the west side of Washington County, that really serve the Latinx community, the Korean community. So that one is a big one we started about, I don't want to say 2 years ago. And it just keeps growing because it does allow people more, again, more choice.
Right.
Right.
Well, if people, it doesn't really help if you're going to serve food to folks that they don't want to eat.
Exactly. Or you're serving it at a spot that they just can't get to. So then you're doing home delivery when we still could do home delivery, but maybe they can actually get out of their homes if it's there's a site closer where they can be part of the community. So that's the big one that seem to be taking off and growing, and more restaurants are willing to work with us to provide that choice.
So it's almost like an extension of your diner program in a way. It's getting folks out and in their community. But
it just gives them more choice of where to go and when to go and who to eat with. And, they're served off a menu just like anybody else. It may be a shorter menu than what the paying public does, but I think anything we can do that where we get people out of their homes is better. So it's great to do friendly chat calls and we're talking to those that are homebound, but it's even better to get them out. And if they're not going to go to, a senior center or a Parks and Rec building or a church that's too far away, or it's not doesn't feel right to them because of the food served or whatever. I think we're just providing better service that way.
Wow. Obviously this takes a lot of people to do these things. What is I guess you mentioned volunteers doing some of this work, but you must have a huge volunteer base. And where are those volunteers coming from mostly?
We have about 3,000 volunteers or so. They are coming from everywhere. Okay. I think the majority are over 60 themselves.
Right.
Right.
See that most places,
still remains the majority. The majority still is retired folks, but we have a big group of businesses that they team up and share the route, right? So in the various parts of the counties we serve, like in Metro Portland, right in Portland, a lot of businesses share the route. So they have staff people who get paid for that time. And usually there's 2 of them, so they don't have to worry about parking and somebody can run in and take the meal or go up into that high rise and have a partner to do it. We've really been working on trying to get the younger generation. A lot of folks who are in their 30s actually delivered meals with their grandmother, right, when they were a kid or something. So we're trying to tap into that and really get them connected now so that they may not be able to do it very often now, but when they have more time and in their careers, they have more flexibility, they can join us. So it's really coming from everywhere.
And it sounds like you have some volunteers too with beyond just delivering just a meal, but they've got folks you mentioned doing helping with the tech side of things. And
that's
do you have volunteers in the restaurant as well, or?
We can't do volunteers in the restaurant because of the
Okay.
paying public. So we can't,
Oh,
they're not allowed to use volunteers there.
okay.
But in our central kitchen, we have volunteers who are helping
Hmm.
pack and cut vegetables and, do that whole thing. And all of our sites, there's volunteers helping serving, cooking,
Hmm.
packing, all of that. So um, the new one around the tech visiting program it's a big one that volunteers are like, I want to do that. That's my thing. I can do tech. They don't want to deliver. They don't want to drive a car around. They'll go to one place and help.
Hmm.
So that's been a new one that is really getting more and more volunteers connected.
That's great. And you mentioned, I guess, kind of these culturally specific meals that folks can go
Mm-hmm.
out, for restaurants. Do any delivery of those as well, or?
So our overall menu has lots of diversity in the menu.
Okay.
So they could get enchiladas on the menu, right? But there's not choice where they can say, I only want these meals and I've got
Right.
60 from every ethnic right
Right.
group. But what we do, and we've been piloting for about a year now, is we also do medically tailored meals.
Mm-hmm.
So through our medically tailored meals program, we started to do medically tailored grocery boxes, and we are serving pregnant Latinx women or have newborns with grocery boxes that are specific to that culture. And we worked with folks from that culture to help develop what's in those grocery boxes.
Sure.
So we took the same thing and said, well, why can't we do that for older folks? If they really want and are able to cook for themselves, can we provide a grocery box with the staples, the proteins, the grain, everything they need to be able to cook for themselves with the flavors? So, for example, we are working with the Karen community. We have about 10 different older folks that get that grocery box, and instead of like, they don't use certain kinds of oils. So we've worked with them to say, well, what are the proteins? What are the starches? What are the grains? What's the oil? What's the herbs and spices that make sense for that population? And then have built those into the boxes. So we are delivering those grocery boxes to those Karen families. And then they have the food to cook for that older person in the family, or that older person can cook for themselves if they still are able.
Sure.
And they opt into that program if they want to do it. So I think that's another big one, that we've got multiple cultural groups that are saying, hey, can we take part in that? And that has come about because we do a big Meals for Kids program where we serve about 300, I think last year we served close to 330,000 meals to families with kids under 18 that have a disability. The guardian has a disability. It's just pure low income for whatever. We have a grant that we do that from. And along the way, they were like, can we have the raw food? We want to be home and cook it with our kids so they can be there. And not hauling them around on a bus to a community food basket or a backpack program where you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So it kind of stemmed from that, where about 70% of the families in our Meals for Kids program, they want the raw food, and the best benefit other than nutrition is being home doing homework with kids. So we took that kind of model and then said, well, why can't we do that with families with older folks in them that really are not going to eat the food unless it's done in a way that makes sense for their culture? And so that's one that's really taken off.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You're doing so much more than just seniors and folks with disabilities. It's kids, it's families, it's you're really working with the community. You're providing jobs for folks out in the community and things like that. It's that's great.
Yeah, it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's
and our primary is still older people.
Sure.
And we've been pretty fortunate on our Meals for Kids program. We've had some funding issues of late because of everything going on in the world, but we've had a stable for 10 years funding partner that we hadn't had to raise a lot of money for that program. And
it's not a government partner.
It's out of the city of Portland, but it's a levy that was created like 15
Okay.
almost 20 years ago, where it's a tax-based levy that supports all these tons of programs, and this just happens to be one of them.
Okay. Well, going back to mentioning, you're working across state lines, and I've never been in another program working in two different states before. Is that what are there issues involved with that when you talk, about are you doing advocacy work at two different state capitals? Are you work, those kinds of things?
Yes, and that's really hard. Yeah, there are different. One big one is HR. There's different rules in the state of Washington than there are in Oregon that go beyond the federal right limitations or regulations. So HR is a big one. Our HR folks need to know, like if you're a subcontractor, it's total different rules across the state line. If you are salaried versus wage and hour, it's completely different here in Oregon versus in Washington. So that's one of the big ones. I think the other one is, like you say, advocacy in two different capitals makes it more challenging. In the state of Washington, they have a networking group for all the Meals on Wheels senior nutrition providers in the state. And so that is helpful.
Here. Yeah.
And they meet routinely and do conferences together. And from that, we created a coalition for those who wanted to provide medically tailored meals. So I'm the chair of the medically tailored meals coalition for the state of Washington. With that, we have been able to raise some funds and have consultants work with us to run that, help us run the coalition and do advocacy.
Okay.
So that's been really helpful because as a group, we were able to go into the state of Washington this last legislative year and get capital money for like 6 different organizations, which was fantastic. We would not have been able to get that money as single organizations. Oregon is even more challenging because they don't really have that group of people who really like to work together like the state of Washington. We haven't really gotten people who wanted to get together and get on board to build capacity to do medically tailored meals. There's more competition, I think, less like let's work together. So the advocacy in Oregon is more challenging because it's really more we're doing it on our own versus in Washington where we have a group of us doing it together.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's relationships, right? Different.
Right. Different attitudes, different landscapes. It's just
rules, regulations, and relationships, I'd say.
Oh, that's great.
Completely different.
Yeah. I didn't even think of the HR parts of it. That's probably the biggest hurdle, I guess, on a regular basis. You have to work with.
And when you're trying to be equitable with your staff and one state says you have to pay somebody, 15% more to do a certain role, and that's where it becomes challenging. It's like, well, how do you do that when you can't do that? Just because you live in a different state, you get paid more for the same job. That's challenging.
Oh, I bet. Well, and obviously one of the, you do this talk, a little bit we've talked here, the innovation and the work you're doing has really brought the organization to a point, probably, it sounds like beyond a lot of the other programs around that I've talked to around the country. Where do you see it going? Like another 5 years, 10 years from now? What are some of the goals?
I think it's hard because of the world we're in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we get a couple $1 million from Medicaid right now to serve people with disabilities. If that goes away, then we have a whole new challenge to figure out over the next several years. And it sounds like it's going to go away. So even though we may have planned to do a whole bunch of more service around reducing isolation, like growing that tech visiting program, for example, or even just keeping up with food costs.
Right.
That what's happening at the federal level could really kind of disrupt all of the plan for the next 5 years. So I think, we're still working with, we always want to, again, we raise right now about $7-8 million just to feed the current people that need us.
Yeah.
So how do we keep feeding more and more people? Because every day we have a new person, right, that's aging and needs more help. So how do we keep raising the dollars to support the work, which means how do we keep raising enough dollars to support staff, because their wage has to go up every year, and cost of food and everything else. So I think that it really is to continue to provide the best food possible, be as efficient as we can. I mean, every day there's a new way to provide food that it's better quality, it tastes better, and we can get it out to people, right? So how do we use technology to be efficient and serve more people with less dollars, with better food, for example, and all the programs for isolation. So I know I'm kind of hedging. It's like we have a strategic plan for the next year, but it's really like going to be disrupted, I think. Yeah. And then it's really figuring out what do we do with the loss of $2 million, for example?
No, some of the folks I've talked to, it's been, our future is we want to just at least maintain where we're at today, which is not where you want to be planning, but sometimes that's what we're forced into.
Yeah, we had to cut about $1 million out of our budget, over $1 million. For this fiscal years we just started in July. Okay. Part of that was because we got tons of ARPA money that hadn't been spent. We knew it was coming, and it allowed us to do some things last year that we couldn't maintain into this year, and we knew that was coming. But now with the federal on top of it,
when you can plan for it, it's different.
Yeah, right. It's coming. So I don't know. That's a whole ball game that we're going to have day to day.
That's right. What, if folks wanted to reach out to you and maybe help with some of those funding pieces, or just volunteer, or even maybe get a meal if they're listening to this, what's the best way to reach out?
Well, going to our website is the best thing. And it's just mowp.org. Super simple, Meals on Wheels people, right? But mowp.org, and then go to our website and look for volunteer opportunities, how to donate, if they need service. It's all right there. I'm also happy to talk to other organizations or people that just want to talk about how you do it, what do you do? Yeah. Hey, have you ever heard of this? We're doing this, and you might be interested in it. They can also just call me, and that's 503-953-8140.
All right. Well, thank you for this time. It went by quick. Look forward to following up and see where you're at in a year or so. And maybe things will be a little smoother. Who knows? We'll find out.
Better.
Be better. I'm always hoping. We're working towards that, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks. Thank you again to Suzanne for sharing her story and the story of Meals on Wheels people with us today. I don't know if there's another program around that serves in 2 states. That's a lot of extra work. And hopefully someday I'll make it out to visit the Diner Vancouver. And I hope you can too. Please reach out to me if you have a program you'd like to hear on Behind the Meal. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode right here on Behind the Meal.